Yes. And this lady is going to give you a few minutes. Will you come up, please? Yes. You can stand here by me, because she's the director of the Bataan Legacy. Now, that's about the Philippines, and she'll be speaking for you for a few minutes about that. But I'm going to tell you just a little bit about the Philippines. We aboard the San Francisco had the good luck to be involved with the time of the Philippines when the Japanese surrendered Manila. We pulled in our ship right alongside downtown the dock, and us young men could walk around the hills, and the whole town was a rubble. It was just a pile of junk from end to end. You couldn't see how many people were killed and how much took place there. The San Francisco had the good luck to be there and be part of that, so I'm very proud of that. Then on top of that, the Philippines has a very, very wonderful harbor called Subic Bay. And the harbor of Subic Bay is where we came from the Okinawa. We want some new ammunition and more food. Our ship would stay there. And so it's a good harbor. At this moment, the Bataan Legacy Director, Cecilia, and your last name is pronounced?
Gaerlan.
Gaerlan. She will be here for a few more minutes, and then we'll be moving on before it gets too much colder. Cecilia, it's yours.
Oh, it's mine. Jody.
Beg pardon?
Jody.
No, no. Are you all done? No. It's okay.
Okay. Oh,
Yeah, you,
okay.
please.
Thank you, Chief Johnny Johnson. Good afternoon, everybody. I want to thank Chief Johnny Johnson, foremost, the members of the USS San Francisco Memorial Foundation for this very great honor. It's a great privilege to be here with you today to pay homage to those who made the ultimate sacrifice to bring the freedom that we are all enjoying today. I'm also very grateful and very humbled to be in the presence of our heroes like Lieutenant Colonel Stevens, Johnny Fullwider.
Ed Fulbright.
Oh, Ed Fullwider, I'm sorry. Chief Johnny, of course, and Mr. David Tejada of the 12 Signal Company Philippine Scouts. He is a survivor of the infamous Bataan Death March.
Really? Whoa.
Yes.
Wow.
Most of all, I would like to thank not just the USS San Francisco, but everybody who participated in the liberation of the Philippines 70 years ago. I will not be here if not for the sacrifices of those soldiers, of those men. Bataan Legacy was founded 3 years ago. The first Bataan Legacy presentation was made in 2012 because of the lack of information on the Filipino defenders of Bataan, which made up 7/8 of the main line of resistance. The U.S. Army Forces of the Far East was created on July 26, 1941 by an executive order by President Franklin Roosevelt, but recruitment did not start until about September or October of 1941. By the time of December 8, 1941, they were still recruiting soldiers, and many of the recruits did not even get a chance to fire their guns before the war. They were given World War I equipment. They fought against a highly trained, highly experienced, and highly equipped Imperial Japanese Army. By January 1942, just a month after World War II started in the Philippines, the Army was already on half rations. By February, there was no longer any cure for malaria, for dysentery. By March, 500 men a day were falling ill of dysentery, malaria, beriberi. They were already on quarter rations by March, so that by April, there was hardly any reserves. By the time of the surrender on April 9, there were only 2 days' worth of quarter rations, and majority of the men were suffering from massive disease and starvation, so that they were forced to surrender. General Edward King was forced to surrender 75,000 men, consisting of 63,000 Filipinos and 12,000 Americans. What happened was a great tragedy and what we now know as the Bataan Death March. They were forced to march under grueling heat without any provisions for food, water, or shelter. Those who could no longer go on were either beaten, bayoneted, shot, some were even decapitated. Approximately 10,000 Filipinos and 750 Americans died during this march. And once inside the camp at Camp O'Donnell, another 20,000 Filipinos and 1,600 Americans died. But today, it is unfortunate that this is not being taught in schools. Nobody knows what Bataan stands for. It is not being commemorated here in the United States because it is considered as the biggest single surrender in American history. What is not known is its bigger significance. It disrupted the timetable of the Imperial Japanese Army. They had a timetable of 52 days, and despite suffering from disease and starvation, they were able to last from December 8, 1941 until April 9, 1942. So Bataan Legacy was initially created to address the lack of information on the Filipinos, but it has evolved since 2012 to present stories about World War II in the Philippines. And one of the stories that I did not know until last year was the Great Battle of Leyte Gulf. I did not know that it was the largest naval battle in history, in terms of tonnage, and it disrupted, it actually crippled the Imperial Japanese Navy, and that was the beginning of the decline. That was the beginning of defeat of the Empire of Japan. So that happened in the Battle of Leyte Gulf. And so these are stories that we want to preserve, we want to let people know. And on October 24, we are having a conference at the San Francisco Main Library that will be for free, and we'll be opening an exhibition on September 12, also at the San Francisco Main Library. You are all invited, it's for free, and thank you so much. Thank you, Chief Johnny. Thank you to all of you, sir. Thank you to everyone here. Thank you so much for your service. Thank you so much.
That's a wonderful, wonderful presentation. I do thank you so much. It's one of those things in the world we kind of forget, the Philippines. We should not. That's a great, great country with some wonderful, wonderful people.